Are you interested in exploring Africa in 2025 but uninterested in some of the stereotypical African destinations and activities like safaris? These cities across 4 countries offer you the best bang for your buck in less traveled and often cheaper countries. This video can save you thousands of dollars on your next trip to the continent. There's more to Africa than what you see on Radio World. I know you might be interested in going on safaris, and there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you're interested in, then definitely do it. But for people that have done that or not really interested in that, here are 4 countries I feel like you can go and have a decent time that is different to anything you've had before. And in my experience, you can get better value for money in less touristy countries. And most of my opinions come from my point of view as a Nigerian, so some things might not make sense to you and some things not really pertain to you if you are a non-Nigerian or you hold multiple passports. The first country on our list is a little known one, and that's Benin Republic or Benin Republic, depending on how you pronounce it. It's a very low-key country sandwiched between 2 West African giants, Nigeria and Ghana, and it is one of my favorite spots in West Africa. Benin Republic has silently been on a development spree while making it easier to visit their country, and I consider this country to be the Rwanda of West Africa because they are making visiting easier and they are just doing all the right things that I love to see. The capital is Porto Novo, but the major city is Cotonou, and that's where the only international airport is. So if you're coming into the country, you're gonna land there. It's a wonderful city. The vibe is amazing. There are lots of things to do there. You will not be bored, especially if you go for a couple days. But as fun as Cotonou is, Ouidah is where the action is. And we're going to be talking about that later in the video. The next country on the list is Nigeria. Yes, Nigeria is a massive country on the continent, has the largest population, but lots of non-Nigerians do not visit the country, and I always wondered why this was the case, especially for tourism. And then the older I got and I made friends in other countries that wanted to come to Nigeria, I realized that Nigerian visa is unbelievably hard. People in power seemingly do not want anyone to visit, and I don't know why. But if you get the opportunity to visit, then Lagos is one of the cities that will change your life, for better or for worse. Lagos is worth visiting, and some of the places I would always advise people to check out are any of the beach resorts. There are lots of beach resorts technically in Lagos, but outside the major hustle and bustle, so you can take a boat to any of these resorts and enjoy your day or your weekend or your entire stay. Lekki Conservation Center is also a must visit, Lufasi and other eco tourism parks, and you can't come to Lagos without trying the food and visiting the multitudes of art galleries. Are you enjoying the video so far? Because if you are, you should definitely consider subscribing and liking. Thank you as you do so. Moving on, we have Ghana on the list. I contemplated putting Ghana on this list for a while, but I eventually decided to just do it like Nike. But Ghana is one of the most visited countries in West Africa. I will have to give them that. But I still believe that not enough people visit this country for what it has to offer and at the price point. Ghana has obviously become quite touristy in the last few years. I think there was a year before COVID where they had the year of return, where like if you are African American, if you are black living outside the continent, come home, come to Ghana. Accra is the capital city, and although there are technically 2 international airports, Accra is like the de facto international airport. So if you are landing here. It has beach vibes, it's very modern, lots of things going for it, and one of my favorite cities in Africa. It would be a shame to visit Ghana and not step out of the capital. The next country and city on this list is Kampala, Uganda. When most people decide to go to East Africa, they often go to Kenya or Tanzania, or they head out to Rwanda if they're interested in something different. Uganda is a well-visited country, but not as visited as many of its neighbors. But when I visited, I realized that this country has to be one of the greenest countries. For some reason, probably due to safaris, I assumed all East African countries had that type of forest covering. But when I went to Uganda and I saw that, oh wow, this has to be one of the greenest countries I've been to. And for a landlocked country, it has a lot of water. It's the source of River Nile, and there's a lot going on in this country. But if you are visiting Kampala, be vigilant, because I was seconds and inches away from being robbed on my first day, literally the first few hours. Kampala is definitely worth visiting, no doubt about that. But Entebbe and Jinja should be the reason why you visit the country. more on that later. I'm a big believer of going to a country and not just a city or tourist hotspot. When I visited Benin Republic the last time I went there, I made the mistake, or I almost made the mistake of just going to the major city. But my host told me, no way, we are going to see Wida. And I'm thankful that I got to see Wida, because if I hadn't, my experience would have been way worse. The Snake Temple is the most famous tourist hotspot in Wida, and a must visit in my opinion. If you can, please go. The point of no return is the unfortunate spot where millions of enslaved people were shipped off to Europe and the Americas. Zinsu Foundation is a free contemporary museum that I feel like you definitely need to visit. I'm a big fan of the art, so I love that. If you're into that, then definitely visit Zinsu Foundation. There are lots of resorts dotted around Wida. Wida is like the resort and tourism town, and I'm sure that if you go there, you will not regret your experience. If you are able to find your way to Nigeria, either as a foreigner or a Nigerian living outside the country, then you should definitely go to other places beyond Lagos. Obviously, care is needed in a country like Nigeria at this time in its history, but Abuja is the nation's capital and one of my favorite cities in not just the country but the world. Abuja has always been a symbol of what can be achieved if the country actually became serious, and I am fairly confident that you would enjoy your experience in Abuja and you will be pleasantly surprised. Beyond that, you should 100% take a day trip to Badagry when you get to Lagos. Yes, Badagry is technically in Lagos, but for the purpose of this video and for the purpose of real life, go to the Badagry slavery museums and learn more about what was done to us. It's very essential. I have always lived in Nigeria all my life, but when I went there earlier in 2024, I learned so much that I never knew existed or I was misinformed about. Go and learn about your history. You can also plan a day trip to Ibadan or Abeokuta, get on the train, see what the city has to offer, and then come back. It's as simple as that. If you are enjoying the video, then you 100% should subscribe. I'll wait for you as you subscribe. The next city on this list is actually two cities in Ghana. When you go to Accra, have as much fun as you can. I feel like there is no shortage of fun activities in Accra, and you'll get tired before you go through them all. But go to Cape Coast. Similar to Badagry in Nigeria, Cape Coast is a very essential city in the transatlantic slave trade. You need to go there and learn about our past, as well as visiting Kumasi. Kumasi is the second largest city in the country, and it's a perfect blend of history and modernity. With that being said, you can also visit other cities and places technically within and outside Accra a couple hours. The further you go from the core of the city, the more exciting and serene experiences you can enjoy on a budget. Now let's go back to Uganda. As mentioned earlier, Kampala is definitely a city worth seeing, but it wasn't my favorite city to visit, no offense. But on the flip side, Jinja is a resort town. It's a couple hours outside of Kampala, and I did not know it existed before my trip. But when I got there, the people I met and my new friends told me that you need to go to Jinja on the weekends. It's an unbelievable experience, and Ugandans are known for being hard partiers. They really go hard when they party and leave no stones unturned. You would also find the source of the Nile in or around Jinja. I'm not sure because I didn't actually go to the source. Entebbe is another place to visit in the country, and it's like a contiguous zone between Kampala and Entebbe. The airport is actually in Entebbe. For a country that is landlocked, they have beaches because they have a coastline on their lake. You can also do things like gorilla trekking and wildlife, stereotypical wildlife stuff in Uganda. If you have enjoyed the video so far and you would like to support, you should consider joining the channel as a member or gifting super thanks. It means a lot and goes a long way in helping upcoming YouTubers like myself. Rather than choosing one country to visit in 2025, you can visit multiple countries on the same itinerary without adding more to your cost. African airlines have been on the rise lately, and they are now certain African airlines from some countries that are quite competent offering flights to many countries. You can combine multiple countries by flying one airline to your destination with a stopover in the home country. For example, you can fly Kenya Airways from your location to Uganda, for example, with a stop stopover in Nairobi. You can make your stopover 2 or 3 days long and then continue your trip after exploring what the city has to offer for a day or two. Make friends before and during your trip. You will not regret it. Why don't you click the video on screen right now, because I created it with you in mind. Until the next video, your friend from the Ukodo YouTube channel wishes you love, peace and prosperity.